Let the roll call reflect that Mr. Euclid is missing. Otherwise, all the committee members are here, and Marissa, you'll take note of other people who need to be mentioned. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have an agenda. Approval of the minutes. I have a couple of things to say before that, then someone else may want to chime in. Mr. Euclid was not at the meeting last month. And when it says Mr. Klein was quite the celebrity at the building that day, not to take anything away from Mr. Klein, but I think it was Mr. Knight who was being referred to in the remarks that generated that entry. Now, anyone else see anything needs to be amended? In which case, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes as sent.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have approved our minutes. Thank you. And now we move into the public participation. Josh, is there anyone out there in Cyberland just yearning to talk to us? And is there anyone here? I will not read the spiel in that case. Discussion and next steps. Community partner. Now, it's been a while since we've had a community partner report. So, Mrs. Ferguson, would you please just remind us what a community partner is?
Sure. So a community partner is a community member and or community agency and or community organization with whom the Torrington Public Schools links arms to support district initiatives, to enhance district initiatives, and sometimes to create, develop, initiate district initiatives. Sometimes it is 100% volunteer. Sometimes we are able to find grant dollars to go along with it, to better serve our needs. We have many community partners. We partner with Oregon Alcohol Rehab. We partner with Torrington Area Health. We partner with the hospital, the YMCA. We partner with organizations such as Advance, right? Who I think was our last community partner that we had on the agenda a few months back, who helps us run some after school programs and that sort of thing. And tonight we have Mr. Gaffney here, who can explain to the committee the many varied projects that we work on together.
Thank you. Excellent synopsis of community partners. And now you can introduce Mr. Gaffney specifically.
It is my great pleasure to introduce to you this evening Mr. Tim Gaffney, with whom the district has worked for many years in many different capacities, right? I did tell Tim, just so that everyone knows, he only had like 10 minutes, so he's not going to be able to tell you everything he does with us, because they are many in number. The list is long, right?
Yep.
But and you did have something in your packet that he had sent me, which was kind of a summary of some of the highlights,
Yes.
right? Yeah, so take it away, Tim.
Start that clock, 9:59. We're gonna make it. I usually don't say hello in 10 minutes, but anyway, we'll do it tonight. So anybody that doesn't have these are just a couple of the notes that I have for tonight. So first of all, thank you guys always for allowing me to accentuate what goes right in the Torrington public school system, because it's an astounding amount of things that do go right. I own Litchfield County Sports, but part of what I do with Litchfield County Sports is do the same thing as catch people doing things right. We started the Torrington Public School magazines, I think we're like 5 years in, with the objective of putting out what goes right every single day. The next magazine that is coming out is another YTHS magazine, which will be the new school edition. It'll feature 12 students, 4 teachers, with them, especially the kids, talking to their 7th and 8th grade self about why. What we're trying to make sure we do is keep kids that are in the system all the way up through to where they graduate. So think we've had some pretty good success with that. I'm amazed with the kids, how they respond, because they don't just give me generic answers. You know, they come out with very thoughtful things. So that's first on the agenda. Second is Gaffney's Corner, which was one of the more fun things I've ever been able to do in the last couple of years, where we started it at Torrington High School, where I would sit down with some of the most amazing students. Most of them I didn't know. It's not just all the sports kids that I know. It's just kids. And, you know, we were able to, you know, capture who they are, what they do. The one young lady that was talking about Vincent van Gogh, I never knew much except for the ear, but then I knew a lot more once I was done. So our objective with Gaffney's Corner this year was to do it a little bit differently, was to do a show in all 6 of our schools. And on the list, you'll see there at Torrington, we did something on Veterans Day, right? At the high school, we did the 125-year celebration of basketball and the Alumni Day, which was attended by over 1,000 people. At the middle school, we did here with Shelley, we did 8 different interviews with kids on History Day. That astounded me. How much they researched, how much they did. For 7th and 8th graders, was absolutely amazing. The one young lady that translated 2,500 words from Polish to English about the Holocaust. I still shake my head on that, right? She went on, I think, to some statewide competitions. So my point is, we still need to, and we need to even more accentuate what goes right, because we know something goes wrong, it's going to get out there, right? So my job is to make sure that when things are going right, we end up accentuating them more. How am I doing, Sue?
You're good.
Doing good? All right, good. So next magazine that we had was a Celebrating Excellence magazine at the end of the year. And Shelley, you will be the first one to know this and be pleasantly surprised, where every year I usually ask the schools to give me a whole bunch of information, 2 pages worth of information on what's gone right that year. Now, I know that this year especially, there's some different things happening at the end of this year with a whole bunch of work going on. So I'm not going to be asking you for input. I'm actually going to go to the schools and interview 30 students, 8 from the high school, 6 from the middle school, 4 from our lower grades, because I think as a way for us to accentuate who we have in our schools, what better way than to just sit down and talk with them. Underneath on the Torrington Public School website, there's a link, and I thank you guys for putting that in there, for Gaffney's Corner. Well, right now you could actually go watch the shows that I've done so far. We have one left to do at Forbes towards the end of the year. And so with not doing an end of the year magazine, I think it's going to take a little stress off the schools, but we'll be able to accentuate the different kids. And one of the great things when I met with Sue and Donna Labby and Michael Wilson was, we want to talk to the under the radar kids, right? This is not necessarily going to be the star that everybody knows about that gets all the publicity anyway. This is going to be the kids that, like that young lady with the 2,500 words, hello, didn't know who she was, but now I'm incredibly impressed with who she is. And so we're going to do that for the end of the year. And then the last thing we have going on is the Torrington Kids Marathon, which will be held right out there on May 22nd. I love doing it in the middle school. This is my 7th year of running Kids Marathon. Last year we had 1,300 kids in 2 different sessions out there on the field. And the Kids Marathon, for those that don't know, created by Rod Dixon, former Olympian back in 1972. We realized the fact that kids under the age of 12, the obesity rate was 35%. I'm thinking it might even be a little bit worse right now. So we talk about healthy eating. We talk about exercise. We talk about drinking water instead of Gatorade. So that day out here, if anybody is around on May 22nd in the morning, it is remarkable. There will be 29 classrooms set up on that school twice. 2nd and 3rd graders come in. They set up on the field. We talk to them about nutrition. They get out there and they run a couple of laps out there. And the whole time we are accentuating how important it is to be outside, to be with your classmates, to be with your community. In one of the bus, 4th and 5th graders come in, do the same routine. DJ in the middle of the field. It's just an incredibly energetic day. I love having it here at the middle school, although it was kind of challenged in the beginning because there is no track, there are no bleachers. But we created that, right? We kind of create a track, and I'm staying at the middle school. I love it because I got plenty of room to do, you know, what we need to do. So the thing that comes with the Kids Marathon is the mentors. I get between 50 and 60 mentors from Torrington High School that come that day. And a lot of these kids might be the athletes who these kids might know or might have seen. So we'll have mentors with every single classroom. And I think from anybody that was from the younger grades, We didn't lose any children last year, which is a great thing. They all came and they all got back on the bus and they left because they have their own classrooms. The mentors come and they kind of hang out with the kids and just really give them a great example. The 4th and 5th graders stay here with us and have lunch. And it is just one of the greatest days, I ever have as far as just watching these kids. Sophia Pergola and Avilee Fritsch are in charge. And this year it'll kind of be a completely student-run kids marathon because these kids got in touch with me a month ago and said, Mr. Gaffney, we had a great year last year. We'd like to make some improvements. Hello, can I sign up for that? That they're that involved in wanting to do this. We don't let kids come that aren't going to work. These kids have actually picked the 60 that are coming. Now that one kind of slacked off last year. So it is 5.5 hours of good exercise, good work, good mentoring, and it's the same thing. I'll hand out some of these magazines that have it's my magazine, but it has some of the pictures of what the kids do, and the kids get so much out of this too, both the young ones and the older ones. So
Can I just add something, because I shared during my little summary of what a community partner is, that sometimes we secure grant money to help enhance some of the things that we do. One of the perfect examples is with the kids marathon, we were able to secure some grant money so that every participating child gets a t-shirt, right? Every participating child gets a medal, right?
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
and thank you to you guys, because you guys all get them there with the bus, right? So I mean,
Right, the
actually
transportation. Yep.
getting those kind of kids coordinated to come in, 2 times in a row and the rest of it is absolutely amazing. But we try to get more publicity for it this year. And then we'll see where it kind of goes in the future. So am I good?
Go
Under
ahead.
10?
You're
All right.
doing great.
I'm good, guys. Thank you so much.
Time for
Thank
questions.
you.
Go, get them.
Questions, comments, anyone?
I don't have a question, but everything sounds great, wonderful. My daughter actually got asked to be a mentor this year, so she's under 60. She's looking very forward to it. She's a high school athlete, because yes, cheer is a sport.
Okay.
I have to clarify.
I know, good.
So she's looking forward to it coming.
It's the most amazing thing I have,
Yeah.
because I don't have to tell these kids twice. It's just go run it. I mean, the field, they go and they scour the field to make sure it's spotless when we get there, and then when we leave, it's the same thing. And that is what I think that this whole message is about, is you guys allow us to hear the bad news about what goes on in the schools. 97% of what goes on in the school is probably just fine. 3% are knuckleheads. Well, okay, so in the high school, that might be 30 out of 1,000. We got to pay attention to the 970. So that's what I try to do. I was just talking with, before on with Ronnie, is that I love theater, right? So, this year I am watching the rehearsals of working, because I do it like a sport. So I do it from the first rehearsal all the way to the end. It's one of the things that will be featured in the magazine, because I went and saw Justin Torres in a production down in Thomaston, and he's the young man that graduated from THS and was in the Heights. He became Lin-Manuel Miranda, literally transformed himself. He was in the show Rent, this weekend. So we need to keep accentuating what goes
You were
right
there.
with our
I
school.
saw you at the show.
Oh, it was stunning.
She's
It
sung
was
too.
chills. It was so
Yeah.
good. So.
That's one of the things
It was better.
I would like to say about Tim, is that, you say you were there. Tim is always there. He just is everywhere we are, right? So we were a couple of weeks ago at Global Wetmore for a literacy night. I never reached out to Tim and asked him to come, but he was there, right? Just filming it all. He was at the Torrington literacy night. He's, as you heard him say, he's everywhere, and he captures some of the really special moments that we would probably otherwise miss, because we're all so busy. We don't have the time to run around with a camera, but he does, and we are very grateful. So that's really beautiful for the public community.
And it all happens without a lot of drama too, which I appreciate. It just happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
And he was very modest just now, where he said, you can go on the website, click on Gaffney's Corner. Yes, if you click on Gaffney's Corner, you can pull up these video clips that he has painstakingly, filmed and edited and worked with some of our IT folks, right?
Yes.
And then post it on the website, so that if you weren't at the event, you can kind of be, you can live vicariously through Tim, So
And if you think about the building of the new school, I was standing out in the mud with Mario 2.5 years ago as we started to envision how it was going to go up, and I was part of the initial. Jeff's back there. You remember we were in the gig, was first getting it passed, and then to watch it grow, from the first steps all the way through. Too much of what happens in our community now is because we're kind of a news desert, right? So the register is pretty much gone. The Republican is in a different state with Hertz. So not a lot of good news or bad news out there. So we need to keep. What did I say about Kids Marathon? If somebody fell off a bus and broke a leg, Gaffney would have been all over the front. You know what I mean? But aside from that, it was like this big. So we need to make sure that we put out, the good news about what's going on. Our community is what we make of it, guys, right? So if we believe we're a great community, that's what we're going to strive for. And it goes.
I don't have a question either, but a comment. When my daughter was in elementary school, she did the kids marathon, and she got a whole lot out of it.
Well,
Appreciate
it's
it.
still going strong, Bill.
Still going strong. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gaffney. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Keep up the good work, I guess is.
I'm sorry if I stepped on something you were going to
Jeff
say.
has a
It
question.
was just a comment to say, I was here, I stopped by for an hour last year for the marathon, and it was a very well-run event, very smooth. The kids were having a great time, it was respectful. If you haven't seen it in person, take that, even if you only take an hour out of your day, it's worth going to see. Tim did a great job. And everybody was very supportive. The kid mentors were fantastic, and keeping track of all the kids and building relationships with some of those kids. So some of the older kids as you get older. So it was really nice to see.
Chelsea Cliff with 141 versions of Simon Says. Because we try to exercise with the kids and the rest of it. So, and some of the kids this year have stepped up and said, I'm going to take care of the exercises. I'm like, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, next on the agenda.
You know what, you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
I might find out some more good
The
info.
rest of it is
I like
not
it.
Yeah,
quite
you
as,
will.
it's not quite as exciting as.
Well, I think probably Shelley and Kristen. would-
Disagree.
I was gonna say,
Kristen, I'm gonna turn this over to you because Kristen made the school visit this time, so please tell us what's going on here.
So, yeah, I came Monday morning, was here for just over an hour, had a very nice visit. Accidentally walked into my daughter's classroom, which she was not happy with, but that's okay. So one of the things that I really like about this school and the curriculum is the offerings. I call them specials, but I realize they're women classes or encore. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it keeps changing. They're gonna be specials too. But the 3D printing class is just so cool. I actually stood behind a girl, I don't know what grade, maybe 7th? Okay. And she was designing something and I was talking to her about it, and she went on for about 5 minutes talking about bearings and hinges and wheels and showing me, and it was like completely out of my league, but it was so cool, and she was so passionate about it, and Mr. Douglas seemed really passionate about the kids too, learning and talking about it, so that was really fun. The sustainable art class with Mr. Coyne, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
I saw a basket made out of old newspapers and some of just the really coolest projects that these kids are making with recycled or upcycled materials, and they're having a blast. And then I saw an art class where they were doing portraits. I could never do that. I'm not an art person at all, but these kids were pretty talented. I was impressed by their portraits. I also got to see some, let's see, I made some notes. Oh, the math games, that was super fun. There was a small class of maybe 8 kids, so 4 teams of 2, and they had earned a reward to play a game, and of course the game was educational, and they were talking craziness, exponents and this times this and all craziness. Anyway, I would have needed a bit of a refresher to involve myself, but they were so into it and so happy to be learning and having fun at the same time, so that was cool. I like to see kids get rewarded with educational things, so that was fun. I got to see the new pass-fail program for the ELL students, yes, which seems to mainstream for our teachers and make it easier for them to assess and grade. I also got to see some classrooms with students who were learning, and they were very engaged. Students were well behaved. Staff was happy to be here. And a quick plug for the drama show. I did send it out to the board members. I know Marissa sent out the ticket link as well. They are doing Wizard of Oz in a couple weeks. There's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday shows, the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Anything else?
No, we just really looked at a variety of classes.
Yeah.
The math class you were mentioning was actually one of our intervention classes.
Yeah.
So it was really great to see
The kids were so into it. It was fun. Yeah. It was a good visit. So thank you to Mr. Naldi and team.
I love visiting this school.
Yeah.
I do, I love coming here, and I will say that was not always a true statement.
I'm sure.
I love coming.
The kids were having a blast and they were well behaved. And honestly, you have to throw in a little bit of fun with learning, because otherwise the kids are gonna, they're gonna go off on tangents and their minds are gonna go elsewhere. But they were having a blast, and the teachers seemed to really be involved, and it was a great morning.
And Mrs. Rinaldi has sent down a package that you probably want to walk us through.
Absolutely, it's
Thank
gonna be a tag team effort. Ms. Sterling's gonna begin for us.
Absolutely. So in our updates, and thank you, Kristen, for that. It's always nice to hear perspectives and Ms. Ferguson, like, it's nice to hear that people want to come to the middle school. I've been here a very long time. I like it. But we're doing some really great things. We're continuing to improve. There's certainly many things that we can continue to work on. So if we take a look at the next slide, Josh, if you want to look for me, great. So this is just a breakdown of our demographics at this point. Taking a look at, hopefully everyone can see that, you've got it in your packet. What we break down for our different ethnicities and groups, and then taking a look at the characteristics of what a TMS student looks like. So our 10% roughly of 504 kids, our IEP students are right around the 18% mark, and our ELL students at 17.5%. So really 46% of our population has a 504, an IEP or ELL. So we've done a lot of work to, as you heard, with our ELL program, and really working with our students to meet them where they're at and meet their needs to make them successful. Our attendance is, our chronic absentee rates continue to go. That's a really big positive for us. We attribute a lot of that to our LEAP program. The LEAP program, if you don't already know, I'll do a quick little synopsis. We have teachers and counselors and social workers that are trained, that offer up their time to head out and meet with our families at either a local place or their own home, and get them, ready to come back into school, depending on what the situation might be going on and as to why they're a little bit more absent than we would like to see them. And then we certainly have our attendance meetings as assistant principals with each of our houses and each of our grade levels, where we talk about our kids and our concerns for, again, really bringing our kids back in that are struggling to make it to school consistently. So we've done some really great work on that, and that's been a couple-year process. Our next slide is talking about our star reading. So this is our, our temperature checking along the way. Our highlights here are reading for 6th grade. If you take a look at that from fall to winter, this is our new benchmark program that the Board of Education offered for our 6th grade. We have done a lot of work in getting that up off the ground here. It has made some tremendous strides. We're seeing lots of positive transitioning our students from really their kind of 5th grade selves still at the beginning of 6th grade into our almost 7th grade selves now, and making some great strides on our testing to see that, hey, are they getting something out of the program? And absolutely, we're seeing those things there. And that we're continuing to, show our growth along the way as far as, our math and our reading, and where our students are at with, our proficiency rates. So we're continuing to make strides. Do we want them to be higher? Absolutely. We're continuing to make those growth pieces there.
Hillary, just add
Yeah.
that while yes, we want them to be higher and they're going to be higher, they were significantly lower
not too long ago.
Correct, yes.
So this is improvement.
Right. And, you know, sometimes when we're talking about things like really pushing with our ELL students and, you know, sort of the new pass-fail options and really immersing our students in classes where, you know, it's challenging enough for them, this doesn't show right on our testing. So we're really working hard at moving through that. And we have, of course, Mary Gadd. We're gonna just give her a little shout out, come right in, hit the ground running. Really building up our different programs humanities wise. I know Ms. Tran has also been around as well, and that's going to be really helpful moving forward and taking a harder look at our math and our science and our STEM. If we take a look at our next slide, speaking of STEM, our highlight here is our 8th grade, you know, really consistently doing pretty well for our NGSS. So we're really proud of that, which means our 8th grader, once we're getting our 6th graders and our 7th graders through to 8th grade, we're getting them to that point where they're going to be ready to take on high school and meet with more success there. So we're really excited about those. And then our last step, as we've kind of talked about, we are higher than our state level for our literacy growth rate, which is awesome. So we're really excited to see that, especially if you think back to our demographics slide, you know, having a higher Hispanic population and, you know, bilingual population, honestly, different multi-level language population. We have lots of different languages. I think it's like on Parents Guide, it's like 11 different languages that it translates into to communicate with our families and obviously our students as well. So we're doing some really great strides there as well. And I believe that's
Now
your
it's on to
slide.
me.
Excellent.
So that gives you a little snapshot of where we are as far as the numbers, but we also wanted to know the work that we've been doing this year. So we've hit really 5 different major sections. First, we worked with our entire staff on our vision, mission, and values. We needed to come together and be aligned with how we define ourselves and where we're moving towards. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Our implementation of benchmark, which Ms. Sterling talked a little bit about. We focused a lot on our MTSS process, as well as building teacher capacity to support our ELL students. We really realized in working with Joanne, I see her down there, that our teachers really have a heart for our ELL students, but they needed support in being able to instruct them. So that's been a major focus this year, as well as the portrait of graduate, bringing that into the building. So how we've done those things, if we go to the next slide, Josh. Our vision and mission was really a collaboration of all of our staff members. We started it with our back to school PD, and it's been something that we've pushed through departments to really define out what is our vision, who do we want to be, and what is our mission, how are we doing that? And we've come up with to empower all students to strive for personal excellence and make a positive impact on our community. We didn't settle on this until we could get consensus from our entire staff, and we went back and forth to revision after revision after revision. And our mission, and the great thing that stood out in all of the work that they did with this is what really highlighted was the staff felt it's really the shared partnership with family, community, and school that really rose to the top of, you know, how we're really going to do the work and achieve our vision. And it's through these partnerships that Torrington Middle School is committed to cultivating a challenging, equitable, and supportive learning environment. Within that work, we also wanted to identify the values that guide us. So as we have discussions, and Josh, if you can go on to the next slide. And I won't read to you what our definitions are, but we actually did the work of defining what are our values, what do we hold dear, what can we all agree on that guide our thoughts, our work, and our decisions. And we really came up with responsibility, equity, acceptance, collaboration, and high expectations. And then we move forward with that work to come up with a working definition of each, so that we knew when we're talking about these words, what we all agreed on, what they would mean to our school community. So we're at the part now where our staff has agreed upon it, and we'll move forward with that work, and we'll share that out with the school community. Benchmark, Hillary's going to talk a little bit about.
Right, so this has been my baby this year. I was really excited to take on this part and work with the materials that we have, and also to work with another partner that we work with, Literacy How. So in sixth grade, we took the program, the reading program for Benchmark. We did break it apart into the 2 teachers that we have for the program, really being able to break down and build the background knowledge for the students. Into the narrative text that they're reading, the engaging informational text that they're reading, and really meet them where they're at so we could see, and as we're starting to see with some of our numbers, that growth of, okay, we have some gaps in our learning along the way, or we still have a little bit of leftover, maybe some decoding or learning to read type of skill work and strategies, and really helping our teachers to be able to support our students moving forward with that, so that we're getting some higher levels of comprehension work with our students. A lot of collaborative work happened with the students, being able to focus in groups, getting the students to talk to each other a little bit more. I guess sometimes at elementary level, it's a little more, when they're in a classroom all day long with the same, 25 kids, they're used to doing that. When we get here, sometimes it feels like they're not ready to work in groups, or it changes for them. So we spent a lot of time working on getting kids to talk about their learning and be able to share that out, which is translating nicely to their writing. It helps support them there. We've had our coaching cycle support has helped us. Guaranteed assessments to know how are we making progress along the way, not just through STAR and SBAC, but making sure that our teachers are consistent across the grade level and the different houses as well. And then quite a few professional development opportunities between Benchmark consultants coming out to help us, Literacy How consultants coming out to help us, our own internal people, our coaches, and really just building this program to benefit our sixth graders in their reading, their literacy, their writing, which ultimately, sorry, I'm a biased previous language arts teacher, to really build them to working in all subject areas.
Oh,
Yes.
I just want to drive home the point that this is a new instructional delivery model for the sixth grade teachers. right?
Yes.
And I'm assuming, we don't know for sure for everybody yet because the survey's not done, but many of those folks will teach sixth grade next year
Absolutely.
as part of a 4, 5, 6 school,
Yes.
where it's going to be even a little bit more different, right? So
Absolutely.
this year was kind of a nice bridge or transition
Mhm.
to help those folks really kind of make that transition.
Absolutely. And I think, shout out to our teachers who took this on in sixth grade. It's quite a learning piece. There's a lot of moving parts to the program. It is a different model for them, but they really took it on, put in the work that needed to be done. The next slide, Josh, if you wouldn't mind. Our coaching cycles have been really helpful as well. So we had a sixth grade coach specifically, and then our 7th and 8th grade coach for literacy and numeracy. And they've been able to get into all of our classes, but it's really been nice having that coach tied to the sixth grade level too. And what you can see is, our coaching sessions, 258 coaching sessions with our teachers, which is amazing. And anyone who's ever taught before, Mr. Kisco, I know you have, and then certainly those that haven't, you have to keep up with it. Our profession is constantly changing. So having the coaches to really help, give feedback and push our kids further to make those changes, it's been great. So, lots of in-class support, our meetings, they attend our meetings for SST, our coaching cycles, really very, very helpful.
And they're doing some direct students.
And direct student support, right, there's a little bit of that's been helpful as well.
So this comes back to me talking a little bit about our MTS, and I know we've talked a little bit about this, but I feel like this is the year that all of the pieces are coming together. It's been a few-year process in bringing this to fruition, and we work really through 4 different main meeting types. The team 1 is where every student in the school is getting talked about. We have a team 2 where it says, okay, from all of these kids that we talked about in team 1, teachers really worked on this year with guidance and with the assistant principals, creating support plans for students and monitoring those support plans. And when those support plans aren't working, coming to the SST meetings. And through that SST meeting, what it's been wonderful is it brings all of the specialists together in that room. And we already know all of the things that have been done because we have a system of looking at the plans. And it's really enabled us to say, okay, yes, we've done all those things. Yep, Sue's in the room. Now we need to go to special ed referral. So it's created a mechanism where we are able to offer supports to all of our students in a way that's most efficient for all of us, like the fewest amount of meetings, because a lot of the pre-work is done in other meetings. So the purpose of each meeting is very defined. And then also have the attendance meetings that go through grade levels teams, and then those filter into our SST meetings. So I feel like, we've really worked hard on that piece of it in order to meet all of the needs in our building.
Shelley, just for the committee, just MTSS is
Multiple tiered systems of supports.
and SST.
Student assistance team, yep.
So this is, Kristen, you've been intrigued by this.
I have.
And it's interesting because Shelley's right. This is an opportunity for every student to get that kind of attention.
She was going through it. I was thinking to myself, this is perfect, because, yeah.
And it's very, when you're in a large building, communication, we all say we want to talk about kids or we want to do this, but sometimes that's not efficient and sometimes we can't get the right players together. So by creating a system that we all use that filters through all the teams has really enabled us to, within each team, deploy the supports that we need to deploy and keep track of how those supports are working. And by the time we get to SST, pretty honestly, most of our kids that go to referral, we've done all the pre-work. We've talked to Carrie, our psychologist, and it's sort of, yeah, we've done the work and we see these pieces and we know now that maybe this is something that they need. And it's also enabled us to, and Steve, you'll probably appreciate this, is there was always sort of that end of the year, let's refer students. And using this system, what we've been able to do is track the work from prior years. So we were all keyed up at the beginning of the year for some kids that just needed a few more things. So we were able to space that out a little bit more for our students, which helps our staff as well in being able to deliver the supports they need.
I think too, what's really nice about this process and also having the house system as well is making sure that in a school of 1,000 kids, we don't lose anybody.
Yeah.
That we're on every single person, and even our kids that are, like Tim just mentioned, like they're doing the right thing, they're great kids, but maybe they're not a sports person or, or they're not failing something. We're still looking at them. We're still having a moment to make sure they're continuing to succeed for themselves. And that's a big feat. I mean, I'm sorry, we're gonna pat ourselves on the back for that.
So if you want to go on to the next one, we kind of just wanted you to know what are the supports that are available to all of our kids. We do have advisory. We have a 30-minute learning lab that we arranged this year with core teachers, which was different than last year. All of our kids have access to our homework center twice a week. And they also have access to our student support center, which directs them to either a counselor or an administrator. And kids self-advocate when you give them a mechanism to do that. And we see our kids coming in all the time. We know what's happening before anything because our kids are quick in to tell us. So that's wonderful. We've also really worked hard for the tier 1 to have guaranteed experiences. I strongly feel that it's my role to make sure at the end of a student, if a parent comes to me, I can say, I know that your child received this instruction. In our school, all kids are guaranteed this instruction. So we've done a lot of work around that. We have opportunity for student leadership. We just went to actually the Young Entrepreneurs Club, which was started by a student 2 years ago and taken over by Matthew, isn't it now?
Yeah.
They actually did a Shark Tank yesterday that we went up, we were sharks and judged them. They all gave us their business proposals. It was the best thing that I have done. One of the business proposals we quite didn't understand because it was tech. And my one question was, is this legal? Can we do this? And the response was, wow, Mrs. Rinaldi, it is a gray area. And it was
so
wonderful to hear these business
Forgiveness
proposals.
later.
Right.
Forgiveness later.
Yeah, well, he went to tell me why it was the gray area. I was like, okay. But it's wonderful to see students leading things, and the fact that it was student generated, taken over by a student. We have lots that are started by kids, which is great. We also look for opportunities to recognize whenever we can. We have our kudos breakfast that we've done monthly, which you'll hear a little bit more about. Our house awards continues. Our students love to be recognized, and we're getting more and more positive bus awards, which is wonderful. When I see what I think is a bus referral in my mailbox and I pull it out, and I get to call home and tell the parent how great their kid did on the bus. So that's been really nice to see this year. If you go on to the next slide, Josh, we also have tier 2 supports, which are a little bit more intensive. Our counselors are there for check-ins as needed, either weekly, daily, some kids are twice daily. We do have lunch groups with our counselors. We partner with Torrington Youth Service Bureau. They come in for lunch groups. We also have math and reading RTI, which you did see the math RTI. We have Viking time, which meets during our homework club, that are students that we identify that need to be there every day. And we work, well, every day that it meets, which is twice a week. And we work with the parents. We've had HDT tutoring here. We have a schools-based social worker. We have an alternative program. And we have all of the individual student support plans that we're working through our team meetings. And if you go to the next slide, give you an idea of the numbers of kids within intervention. This is broken up between ELA and math. And of course, across the grade levels for ELA, if you look to the right, the 132, that's students that were supported by those interventionists in either a 1, 2, or 3 trimester levels of support. And the way the columns go over, if you look at grade 6, we have 31 students who had 1 trimester of support in ELA, 10 students who had 2 trimesters, and 5 students who had 3 trimesters. And that's been another improvement in our programming, is entrance and exit criteria for students. We worked really hard with that. Within math, we've had 153 students supported. And if we go to the next slide, this one I thought was really interesting. The blue, if you look at it, these numbers are SGPs, which from STAR, it's student growth percentile. So how quickly a student is growing to their grade level, to their like peers in STAR. The blue, just to give you an idea, is core classes, how quickly the students are growing. The yellow is intervention. So those students are getting a core class and they're getting an intervention. And as you see, they are growing much more quickly, which we would want. They're getting a double dose. And then TT tutoring, that's coming through the state. So across the board, students that are receiving interventions are growing more quickly than their grade level peers, but they have a farther amount to grow. So we want to see a more aggressive growth to get them closer to grade level. So this was really reaffirming when I pulled this out and disaggregated this to be able to see that our interventions are making a difference with our students. Okay. And likewise, we also looked at our ELA interventions. We do see, that our students are making more, but we do want to make more headway in there so that we can get growths that are more comparable to our math growths. And this slide has to do with it. Kristen alluded a little bit or talked a little bit about the work that we're doing with our ELL students. And our ELL students are going out into our classes much earlier than they had in the past in working with Joanne. And, working with the ELL department was a way for teachers to feel comfortable to assess students that have language abilities that may not be at the level in which the curriculum requires them. So how do I assess these and how do I look at these students? And we wanted a really concrete way. So we did work in order to develop rubrics that are specific to each content area so that teachers would have a way of looking at it while building their capacity to know what students can do. And what we found out, we did some surveys of our teachers to find, okay, is what we're doing working? Are we giving the PD that you need? Is it helping you to be able to support our students? And what we found is that 70% of our teachers said that what was helping them with the students was the PDs and the staff meeting work and things like that we were doing. So that was reassuring. And they've also, 70% of them said they were using strategies that they picked up over the years. So it's been in their mind. They want EL students. And then we sort of asked them, like, how are you feeling right now about this? Do you feel like you're doing a good job? Do you feel like you're trying, you need more practice? Do you want to tell us, and I always look for an honest answer, help, get me out of here, I don't know what I'm doing. And we had nobody tell us that. In fact, close to, if I add the bottom 2 percentages, about 80% of our teachers said that they felt like they're doing a good job supporting our L students, or they felt like, you know what, I'm on the way, I just need a little bit more practice. And, you know, as we talk about teachers and how they're feeling and you know, whether or not they're stressed, part of them feeling well about what they do is feeling like they have the capacity to do the work we're asking them to do. So this was really reassuring to us as well. And then if we go on to the last one, the last things that we've been working on are our POG kudos. And basically what we realized is at the middle school level, our kids need to concrete examples of what is a conscientious learner, what is an effective collaborator. So we came together to create a program where teachers could give out little kudo tickets when they saw the attribute we were highlighting from the month, and students that received those kudos could go to a monthly breakfast. And at that monthly breakfast, we took each award that the kids received, we read out why they received that award to constantly give, these are examples of these attributes. So we're going on to our last kudos breakfast. And the kids are a little bit sad that it's coming to an end with that. But our next level of work, if you want to go on to the next one, Josh, was now, okay, we're dabbling with what are these definitions, what do these kudos looks like, these POG attributes look like in real life. Now it's how do we truly implement it in our building? And like most of the work that we do at this building, we do it staff-wide. And so now our staff is, and these questions have been sort of teased out into several different meetings, our staff is really working through these questions to come up with how are we going to embed these skills into our work? How are we going to assess the growth of POG? So basically, we're at that point now where we're getting staff feedback as to how we'll implement this through next year. And then the last slide is just some pictures of some of the amazing things that happen here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Questions, comments, discussion points? Comprehensive picture of what's going on here, that combined with what Kristen says and what Mrs. Ferguson says. Makes it look like a different building with a different program.
It is a different building. I'm gonna be brutally honest, and these ladies have heard me say this. It wasn't all that long ago that I used to bless myself before I walked into this place. Different place.
The staff's done a lot of work.
I know.
They've really done a
A
great
lot
job.
of work, and it's a different building, and it's just getting better every day.
Very good.
I would say I benefited from coaching sessions with our coaches in a way that has helped me. They do challenge you, and you know, they're my colleagues and I've been teaching a long time, but there's always something that can be better, that you can do different. And meeting with them has helped so much. They've recommended books, they've recommended changes. We meet regularly. They help me collect my data so I know that what I'm doing is working. Marvelous opportunities, and they're always available. Even if I finished my coaching session and they need to go back and ask a question, they're always there to help. So they're great. It's a huge asset.
If I could,
Sure.
your kids, the most stunning ones that I've done so far of all the Gaffney's corners, just sitting with us. So I was so impressed with History Day and how well they presented themselves. So don't forget to call me when there's things like that happen. I'll come up. I'm everywhere.
You're
So
gonna be
bring
on
me
speed
in.
dial for me.
Well, I think the Shark Tank is gonna be one of the 6.
That
We'll
was,
talk
that
after.
was amazing.
Jeff, you have anything to?
Very nice presentation. I have no questions tonight.
No, okay.
Much to your surprise, Mr. Christian.
You're the insider, you.
I do.
So do you, Kristen.
Thank you for the presentation and the work that goes into it and the work that it shows, you know, the
Yeah,
work behind it.
thank you.
It's shown.
If I could just take 1 minute, John, I apologize. Love to see the improvements with the scores. It's no secret, I don't put a lot of stock in test scores. Just, I realize I should. And I have more in the past year and a half that I've been on this board, but I don't think that it is a true reflection of the amazing school system that we Some kids just aren't good test takers. But that's not a reflection of how amazing our staff is and how hard the kids work. So, I like to say that when we do look at test scores, yes, they're important, absolutely, and we should look at them. But they are not a true 100% reflection of the amazing students and staff we have at Torrington Public Schools. So thank you. I appreciate your time Monday morning as well. Keep up the great work. I love the program. Like Sue said, it's definitely an area that I'd like to see both the middle and the high schools administration kind of take on that challenge of those kind of middle ground students who might get lost in the shuffle a little bit, who maybe don't qualify, but aren't quite tag or honor society students. It's those middle ground, and I love to see the programs where they're not getting lost.
Right.
So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Moving on through the agenda, we have the distinguished alumnus update. The committee met before this meeting and selected a candidate. Mrs. Ferguson will make contact, and when the contact results in confirmation that that person is available, we'll announce that person. So, questions about it so far? Again, thanks to Mrs. Ferguson.
Thanks to Mary Graziani. I have to completely give this all to Mary Graziani. She's the Wonder Woman who behind the scenes pulls all this together. It's a lot of paperwork.
A lot of paperwork that needs to be done right.
Yep.
And needs to be.
Yep, and she's very meticulous. And as John said, I will make contact with the selected nominee prior to the April board meeting, so that.
Which is when we usually announce. But thanks to everyone involved in that. And now we are moving on to topics for future meetings. We have the math program textbook adoption proposal. We will have that.
Yep.
We will have course proposals. We will of course have the high school report. Meeting is at the high school. High school will be the focus building. And
Those two things are probably going to take the full, the high
that's
school
an
and the
agenda.
math, yeah.
That's an agenda. That's certainly an agenda. Anyone have any comments about any of that? In which case, I am looking for comments for the good of the order, starting down the end of the table, please.
Thank you. Nice to
Next.
be here and nice to hear your report. I'm really proud to see the movement that you've made and to be working with you.
I would like to thank Tim for all the really wonderful PR he has generated over the years, and especially in the past year. And all the work that you've done for Kids Marathon when we first started that program and how that has really evolved. It's wonderful. And thank you, Shelley, for just a great report, and TMS and Hillary. And I really want to acknowledge the tremendous the leadership of Shelley in making the EL instruction or the instruction of ELs really a key part of what every teacher is doing. The EL population at TMS is about 17%. And so it's been really a year-long process, and the teachers have embraced and accepted, not only accepted, have really just done a great job reaching out for professional learning and then trying strategies and I think having some fun with it as well. So anyway, thank you.
Ellen?
Tim and TMS. Like Kristen said, it's the middle of the road student that seems to be, in my tenure on the board, that seems to be lost. So it's great that you're reaching out to everyone and they're not lost anymore. So I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, great.
I would just like to thank everybody. The challenges within a school are so immense that good work can't be done without everybody, and the supports from OTL have been wonderful, just in general as a district, as well as what the board has provided us with. And Tim, just your conversations with the kids as I watched you do those interviews, your true love of kids is just so apparent, and I thank you for noticing all of those kids. So truly around this table, the support is unbelievable, and I just really feel like we're on the precipice of really moving forward.
That was a really great presentation. My kids have been out of here for a long time and things have definitely changed since then. I mean, years and years ago. And Tim, I work at Vogel and those kids come back from Kids Marathon and they're bouncing off the walls with excitement. But they can't stop talking. Like, they're just like, they have such a good time when they're here. I hear a lot of good positive stuff when they come back and they're just really happy to be up here and being outside and having fun. They really are. Thank you for that.
Great meeting, great presentations, and I think it's important that we find a way to take these successes and find a way to use Tim's platform, the publications for the school to really bring forward the good things that happen. You do an awesome job at that stuff. Interviews with the kids and things, but if we can, as we grow with this, we learn about these things that really the average parent probably doesn't know happens, right? I mean, we do all these great things and not leaving kids behind and reaching out and the success stories. And we have a great partnership with Tim that we find a way to really bring that so that it's not, oh my God, a good thing is happening. It's, oh great, another great thing has happened in the eyes of the family. So great job, everybody. Thank you very much.
Ronnie.
I want to make sure you know you are all invited to the Wizard of Oz. When we started that, we had over 50 students, 55 or something auditioned. Then we had another like 30 sign up for crew. Numbers have kind of dropped, but what's interesting is the kids are coming back and want to help with the show. Miss G, don't forget me next year for drama. I know I couldn't do it this year. The kids are interested and they love being in, they love being with their friends, and they do sound heavenly. You'll be so impressed. Beautiful performances.
Kristen?
Great meeting. Thank you again to Mr. Naldi for the hospitality Monday morning and for the wonderful presentation. Thank you to Mr. Gaffney because you probably don't know this about me, but my biggest pet peeve is that Torrington residents like to complain and not focus on the good.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like 97%. And I wish more people were so involved with the schools and knew all the great things that were happening and the amazing teachers we have and the kids and everything that we're doing. That's great. Everything that we saw here tonight, and that's just a snapshot. That's just one school. I have had one child come through here and I have another child who's in 7th grade. And they're both doing well. I have absolutely zero complaints. So keep up the great work. And then another quick shout out for Wizard of Oz. Please come see it. You will see a cute little 7th grader in that show. And the kids really do work really hard and they do everything. They do the set, they do the music, they do the lights, and they're so proud of themselves and it's a huge confidence booster for them. So please come out and see the show.
It was a great meeting. I enjoyed both both of the presentations, both what's going on here and the community partner with Mr. Gaffney. And I think that you know the way that that you described Gaffney's Corner, working with the kids and talking to them and interviewing is a really cool idea.
I know, just thank you very much, Tim. Thank you, Shelley, and Tim, that's great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much to Hillary and Shelley for that beautiful presentation. It was very comprehensive. I know it takes a lot of work putting it together in between the daily work. So thank you very much, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim, because I frequently bring your magazines with me to recruitment fairs when I'm looking to recruit staff, and being able to show the photos and all the awesome stuff that we're doing is great. So it's wonderful to have promotional materials to hand out to people to take with them. So I passed out a lot of magazines this week, so I'll be excited for some new ones that I can share at the upcoming job fairs, and great presentation at the middle school. It's great to see everything you guys are doing. So thank you.
Yeah, fantastic presentation, Mr. Alvin and Ms. Sterling. Really getting to see all the good happening up at the middle school here. Mr. Gaffney, I loved how you were highlighting, you know, all the good things that we have going on. It's kind of like that sign on the back of the old the Vinny's there. Torrington, great place. So, thank you.
It's what I love to do, guys, is Shelley, what you're saying. When I talk to these kids, I'm usually sitting at the end of my seat because I don't know what they're going to say. all of them ask me, what are you gonna ask me? I'm like, I have no idea. What does every teacher ever ask me? What are the questions gonna be? I don't know. We're just gonna have a conversation, and I will just continue to do this for as long as I can. So thank you for having me.
Marissa,
Great meeting.
Josh.
Matt?
And I have three things to say. One, Dr. Buchanan isn't here, but she did send her feedback for the Distinguished Alumnus Award, and her remarks were quite useful to us. Secondly, thank you for all the presentations tonight. So much work goes into everything that we hear about here. And it's just good to see the tip of the iceberg. And very much again. And the third thing is the media strikes again, and there's been some unfavorable or unpleasant things going on in the media. And I just want to say that anybody who questions the intentions of the people who are presenting the budget and who are trying to get things done around here is totally wrong. It'd be expensive, but it's certainly not dishonest if people say this is what we need to do. That's in fact the job. This is what we need to do. So there's nobody out there trying to hurt anybody. And looking for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Right on Torrington.
We're at 6:35. In terms of role, we have the members of the committee minus Gary. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Someone,
Second.
All in favor?
uh,
Anybody have any questions about the minutes? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So,
second,
All in favor?
uh,
Josh, do you have anything on for public participation?
No.
Okay, so we'll move on to discussion and next steps for the policy number 5040, student dress code.
Want me to jump in?
Sure.
Okay, so what you have in the packet is, so what we were charged with doing, we were asked to do, remember the last time we met, we didn't meet last month, the month before, was to draft something and send it off to our attorneys to Shipman for their blessing, which is exactly what we did. We had conversation with the administration, that was something that came up at the previous meeting. What you have in the packet is the current policy, which is just that little blurb, and then behind it, what draft that Shipman has looked at, has edited, has had input with, and has said would pass legal muster. So now it is here for this committee to look at and pull apart, question, comment, do whatever. But this, according to our attorneys, would serve us well if this is where our board wants to go with this.
Okay, I'll open it up to discussion before I get started.
it looks bulletproof to me, and, well, Shipman, I mean, they're telling us things that they can defend, that we can do, given our intent. So I'm starting off by saying, yeah, it looks good to me.
I can tell you that what we initially sent them, what we came up with was much more verbose. We had some introductory language that they struck right away and said, no, that's just gonna get you in trouble. It opens you up to too much interpretation. They had us add, there's a sentence in here about Crocs. That was an add. That should have been an add or a delete. I left it there for the board's consideration. The attorney said, you know, Crocs are so ubiquitous today. You need to either say Crocs are permitted or Crocs are not permitted, because there's going to be too much interpretation. The comments, everything you see, they reworked essentially. I'm almost embarrassed to say, I mean, they completely. So, anyway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill, do you have anything?
no, I'm good.
Actually, you've semi-answered the question. My question was going to be, for the benefit of the committee, what did Shipman and Goodwin kind of lean into, right? Because you have the things that we kind of threw around in the last meeting that we thought were important, we weren't sure, and then you sent it to them. Which ones did they go? You really need to make sure these things are. I'm sure there was a subset that the committee would want to hear that Shipman was, we won't say adamant about, but you've already said they rewrote half of it, so.
Well, they really did. I mean, I can tell you some of their rationale, you know, I'm reading the message. Your aspirational language adoption is well intentioned, but very problematic. Okay. Yeah.
Translation, get rid of it.
Exactly, and they actually redlined everything, you know? So restrictions on student appearance should be tied to specific educational interests, particularly avoiding disruptions to the educational environment. So that was what it was, always making sure that it was tied to disruption to the educational environment. Let's see, what else? I reframed provisions, so they're all written as items the board has prohibited, rather than some being restrictive and others being permissive. And then he goes on to say, are you going to permit Crocs? You know, you got to say one way or the other. And then they had very strong opinions about the the discipline, the consequences attached to this. And they said, we're really unable, we had submitted something that said, out of school suspension for a fourth violation, and they said we can't do that, it's now statutorily not allowed.
So it's the biggest teeth you can sink into it is what's on the piece of paper.
It would be difficult to justify an out-of-school suspension for a dress code violation, given the changes to statutes governing suspensions. Yeah, it says, Connecticut General Statute XYZ requires an out-of-school suspension may only be imposed now if the student poses a danger to persons or property, or such a disruption of the educational process to warrant exclusion from school. You get the gist. So yeah.
Thank you.
So they really, their whole, their guidance was everything needs to really specifically state what's not allowed, or, you know, where are you going with this? That's why honestly, I put in yoga pants are permitted, because without it there, it left it up to interpretation.
It seems like this is, they really wrote this more to what do you not want to see more so than the clothing? What do you think is the distraction or the educational impact rather than individual items? You've named out some things that like Crocs or yoga pants, but this is far more specific to you can wear something as long as it covers what it needs to cover.
That was their thing. You know, to prohibit crop tops, anything revealing, but you could read it.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So it's your meeting, I'm just trying to provide the background.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, I like that the Crocs are allowed, because in my conversations with some folks in the school system, we don't want to, make kids feel like they have to walk. I know sometimes that might be what they have.
Yeah.
So, and you know, they really don't pose a safety hazard, but, so, let's talk about age. While I agree,
What is age?
tights or spandex garments unless they are covered by another garment. Yoga pants shall be permitted if the top is of tunic length or longer. So there's a couple of things that I think are still too broad. When we're saying spandex garments, I think we're saying bike shorts here. Is that what we're trying to eliminate? Is
So
tight shorts?
So the language that we had submitted to the lawyer read, tights are not allowed in place of pants.
Right.
That was what we wanted to eliminate,
Sure.
right? And this is what they came back with. So I don't think that's it, Kristen. I didn't think it was bike shorts. I'm going to go back to, because I agree with your comment from 2 months ago when you said this is not a correct use of this. There's probably spandex in my sweater.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So I think
we need to be more specific with what's, and I understand that Shipman put this together, and while I appreciate their work and everything that you've done in the back end, I think that it's still broad, and I don't really know what's not allowed here.
And that's why we added yoga pants are permitted, and I think they were trying to help us. You know, it's tights, leggings, we have actually had kids show up in pantyhose. Opaque pantyhose, but that's what I would call them, and I know I'm old, but that's
That's what I would call them too.
But that's essentially what they are.
And that's the initial dress code that we were looking at those samples. It talked about tights specifically, tights
Yeah.
meaning that you wear under a garment,
Yes.
tights or pantyhose.
Tights that are
Yes.
worn under a dress.
Right.
they
The
can't wear
spandex
them.
piece is the
And
harder
I
part.
100% agree with you on that, 100%. I would never wanna see that, nor would I let my child wear it. But I'm just concerned when it says spandex garments, cause it's just too broad. I'm
Well,
sure
then
we all
what
looked
if
at our
we-
tags right
What
now.
if we strike or spandex?
That's what I was
And
gonna
we just
say.
say tights unless they are covered by another garment.
I would be perfectly fine with that. Does anybody else have anything?
Sounds good.
As long as Shipman is good with it. But I do just want to address the tunic length or longer. Are we trying to basically say the midriff must be covered? Because that's covered in another line item, which I'm 100% on board with. I just wanted, because to me, a tunic is like halfway down the thighs.
Agreed.
So I personally think that's, I mean, this is 2025, we're a public school system. I want the kids to be able to express themselves while still not distracting and, you know, wearing the things that they should not. The feminist in me is gonna take over in a second, and I don't
Yeah.
want it to, so.
And honestly, the tunic length or longer came up at the last policy
Mhm.
meeting that we had. So
Yeah.
that's why that language was
Yeah,
included.
Gary was
because
saying that.
that was, exactly, that was Gary's, right, Gary wanted that in there. And I think you're right, I think that's where he's headed, is that, you know, okay, if you're gonna wear yoga pants or you're gonna, yeah, right, yoga pants, yeah. If you're gonna wear yoga pants, then
You don't wear a crop top with it.
You need to have.
Completely understandable. And I
Exactly.
agree 100%.
Yeah.
I just think tunic length or longer is a little,
So, and I think
backwards.
the term yoga,
Submissive.
the term yoga pants is, so we could say yoga pants or leggings, right? Shall be so Shipman and Goodman wants us to say that whether they're permitted or not.
Correct.
And the reason I'm asking is because you're right, Kristen, at the top, it talks about the crop tops, and that's ultimately the issue, the leggings. Because as of right now, this spans all grade levels, not just high school, middle school. Like, you gotta think about, you know, the younger kids that we've talked about before. So the language of yoga pants and or leggings, I guess, or something, shall be permitted. Do we need to reinforce?
I think if we add leggings, Hillary, we're gonna get, people are gonna, I think leggings, tights, I think they kind of, I don't know, you know, covers it.
So to me, and this is a generational thing, and Kristen's probably right there with me, yoga pants to me are the flare, what they call flare leggings now. Sorry, like they're looser at the bottom
Oh, I don't have any like that.
versus a legging that, seriously, this is where we're at. The legging that you might wear that's an athletic legging. But that's where I'm at.
But that's what we're gonna,
I know, I hear you. I don't know how to fix that
I
because.
mean, yeah, there's
like-
the Lululemon material that I would
An
consider to
athletic,
be
yeah.
more an athletic pant. But then there's also just black cotton leggings that
Right.
you get at Target.
Right, and my worry is actually the students that have sensory issues that can't wear a jean
yeah.
or what, I don't even know what I'm wearing. It's got spandex in it, but it's not
No, but
like, you know, a
I
dress pant.
think this provides for that, though, if we say tights, really, tights are not permitted
Right.
unless they're covered by another garment.
Yeah.
Yoga pants shall be permitted, I mean, if you wanna add yoga pants / leggings.
It doesn't have to be legging, I think it just needs to be, but I don't know how else to refer to it,
I think we're trying, yeah,
like
I'm
athletic
trying to get
legging.
rid of the spandex garments because it's too broad, but I'm trying to make yoga pants more broad at the
Right.
same time. So,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
That's okay.
go ahead.
Can't you put tights or yoga pants unless they're covered by a garment?
Because yoga pants shouldn't be covered by a garment.
But they don't
Pants.
necessarily, a lot of them won't wear it with.
Well, but if they're the tight yoga pants that are athletic pants, as long as they're covered by a garment.
Why would they want, why?
I think covered by a garment means like a skirt or something with the tights,
Yeah,
right?
the
Like when it
tights,
says
that's
tights
just
covered by a garment.
Yeah,
That, we're
right?
back to the pantyhose thing, if the tights are pantyhose, people were, kids
Yes,
coming in nylon stockings.
yes, but I'm saying yoga pants, put yoga pants with tights.
But they're
It's not
different,
the same.
they're different.
Depends
Because
what
the yoga
you
pants are on
buy.
top of tunic
Correct,
length is
but
what
we
this
can't
is.
tease all that out
Because
here else.
some yoga pants are like tight-ish.
well, right. The material matters, and that's like a
But they're
whole
not
thing we
see-through
can't.
or opaque, they're regular pants where they wouldn't require a skirt or something to be worn over it.
So,
sorry.
So 2 points on that with that in mind. If you were to use language, yoga pants and leggings that are not see-through shall be permitted. Period. What do you think, Sue?
Oh, sorry, Jen,
What are you trying to,
he better.
what are you trying to fix with this line item? What is the,
Well, what Gary wanted is, I'm just gonna be like full disclosure, what Gary wanted is that if a student is wearing yoga pants or a tight legging, that the top come down over and cover the bum. I know that's what he
yeah,
wanted.
I know that's what he wants to, and he also knows that I'm vehemently against that, because I think that it attacks our female students, and not our male students, which, again, not trying to bring out the feminist in me, but that's what it appears to me. I still think that the spandex garments is too broad. I do like the idea of.
Yeah, let's get rid of that, I would cross it off.
Oh, okay.
To add on to that perspective, in regards to it being too restrictive, I think that what you run into is even jeans
Mm.
could have the same cling quality.
Good way to put it.
Yes.
That was great. That
It's like
other pants do, and I do feel that we do as a school
Right, right.
system need to adjust to time periods.
Mm.
And it is common usage in society to wear non-see-through tight-fitting pants,
Mhm.
even if the bum, as Gary would like, is not covered.
Mhm.
And so I think in keeping with that, the suggestions here that you eliminate the line, tunic length and longer is in the best interest of pushing the policy forward.
I mean, Gary's not here, and I know his position on this.
I hear the phone ringing now, actually.
Yeah, I'm like, I wonder if he's watching and he's gonna text me. But, yeah,
I would agree also having
I think
kids
that
now
it's,
at this age, this age and older, like a lot of our kids in front of us that are coming in, they're wearing a sweatshirt and a pair of athletic pants.
Yeah.
And as we get closer with weather, a biker short, just a short version of it or capri length. So I do think we have to take out tunic length or longer because I'm not even sure that it's possible to find clothing like that. Having a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Well, I mean, we've covered the crop top, shirts and blouses
Right.
that reveal the chest, stomach, abdomen, the back,
Yep.
or shoulders. I was at one of the schools yesterday and saw a student who was beautifully dressed. I mean, I actually complimented the outfit, it was lovely, but it wouldn't have passed muster with this policy
Right.
because there was this much skin showing right around here between the waistband of the pants and where the top ended, and I think that's what he's trying
right, and
to avoid.
I definitely do agree with that. But it's addressed in.
I think Gary was also pretty adamant about the length. He used the reference back to when we were all in school, right? Was the, when you.
The
Yeah,
fingertips.
that was for sure.
That was for
For
sure.
sure.
Yeah,
I
the
know he
fingers
was-
has
He was also looking to avoid somebody showing up in athletic shorts that were 4.5 inches long.
Right.
So I don't know how we,
which I'm fine putting something like that in, like a bike short, like Nike Pros. Just comes to mind, because I have a cheerleader and that's what she wears to practice,
Mhm.
not to school, to practice. I certainly would agree with that being added in there
I
somehow.
don't know that I didn't see anything when I
Right.
reviewed it that addressed exceptionally short.
There was the one about the upper
Thighs.
thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
there's
think
thighs.
that's helpful in that aspect.
Mm.
Okay.
And I think I brought up at the last meeting, like if we talked about sports uniforms for like a moment. My girls play volleyball. Those shorts are very short. So they could wear their jersey to school to promote, but not the shorts, which makes sense. That's for the court. And during the day, you have to have, what does it say? Not revealing the upper thigh or undergarments. I'm okay, it covers it there. Yeah, it covers it there.
We don't have to enforce it, we just.
And we could say.
Lots of conversation.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shelley.
So, I'm going back to yoga pants. Do you
Yeah.
want to just say yoga pants shall be permitted, period, or is there a way to compromise and say yoga pants shall be permitted provided the top covers the waistband or something, or?
But yoga pants aren't the top. Yoga pants are the bottom.
I think that gets covered in
The
A.
top, right,
Yeah,
It's
it's
covered in it.
I
the
think
top
it-
is covered in A, I would
Yeah.
think.
I do think it needs to, whatever term we wanna say, we're saying non-see-through, but what, opaque is the word.
Opaque, yeah, tights or opaque, any kind of see-through bottoms, any kind, I definitely agree with that.
I don't think you need to go, if the top, if we're gonna use the top line as applying to everything below it,
Okay,
if you felt the need to add, and, so long as all other aspects of the policy are met, I'm sure it shouldn't always say you don't need that, it's already said, but if you, that's up to you guys.
well,
If you-
they put it in, the two, but that's because we had stipulated,
Right.
that we wanted something covering.
And-
If leggings were used in place of pants, however, given what Erin just pointed out, that's very true. Sometimes a pair of skinny jeans are looking.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It has to be written to avoid what you don't. Regardless of what the material is, right? I mean, that's whatever the distraction is to education, that's how the policy has to be written.
All right, so tights, unless they are covered by another garment. Yoga pants are permitted.
I say leave it at that.
Very
That's
Yeah.
fine.
They may ask you to include, since you're saying you're giving it a blanket permission, it may have to say yoga pants are permitted so long as it doesn't violate any other.
I don't think we had to do that with the Crocs on.
Did we?
No.
I wasn't sure, but that would be,
We
that
have
would be my
Crocs on.
concern, because you're saying it's permitted.
Yeah, we said Crocs, Crocs are
I
allowed.
think, I think
And they were
the
fine
leaving
with
the Crocs in is good.
Yeah, no, if we go back to A, shirts and blouses that reveal the chest, stomach, abdomen, back, or shoulders.
There's one with the thighs.
Can you just say articles
A.
of clothing or garments
Oh, it
rather
says
than.
A, that's not right.
Yeah, why is that A? That's fine.
Yeah, I thought I read upper thighs. Where did I?
It is, it's the second A.
Yeah,
The
yeah, no,
second-
you're right.
Go down about four, it's the second A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got it.
I was like,
So
A, but wait.
there's two A's.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and do it.
Should it just say articles? I mean, do you need to specify all these things out, or can you just say articles of clothing that expose? I mean, it just might be, then you get away from the whole spandex concern that Kristen.
No, they were very, very, very direct about, they were explicit, like, we need to be, no, it says right here, like,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I definitely appreciate the, diligence that they took with it, 100%.
Or
I've-
other garments.
You want
Ellen?
me
Maybe
to-
you can-
If we're ready to move on, I have a different.
A different line item in the dress code? Sure, go ahead.
I, pajamas and other sleepwear. Don't kids wear pajama pants like?
We're
daily?
trying to get away from that.
Yeah, that's what,
We're trying to have kids not come in pajamas,
unless it's a pajama.
unless
So-
it's a special spirit day.
Okay, so if they have a tactile issue,
They can wear sweat,
Right, there's
Or-
the sweatpants or
or
leggings or
some
athletic.
other sort of athletic.
Yoga pants. Now that yoga pants are allowed, they can wear yoga pants.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
or
talking
not
about-
pajamas.
okay. Because that's all I see.
Right, so we're trying.
I get what you're saying, yeah, but I think at least I think and hope that sweatpants would be able to fill that void.
Again, I'm going back to my visit to the high school yesterday, and the teacher whose room I was in was hosting a special event, which was amazing, by the way. But she said in advance of this event, she had to sit her kids down and say, please don't wear your pajamas to school
Right.
tomorrow. We're gonna have special guests. And she said, kids, by and large, roll out of bed and don't bother getting dressed.
I know,
Well, that's what we're trying to get away from.
yes. But even for like the family that is,
I think, the sweatpants covers it. You
Okay.
can get
okay.
a black pair, blue pair, gray pair. There's cheap enough ones that exist at, say a Walmart or,
Okay.
or
Spaghetti
The
strap.
thin straps, correct.
Used to be 2 fingers, I don't know if it's still.
Right. No, we don't do that anymore
Don't do it
because it's too subjective, so,
Yeah, it depends on the student.
yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
You know, it was the spaghetti strap notion, and also if you're thinking about guys, for example, like you're talking
Yep.
about
The sleeveless,
Well, yeah, but some of those
or way low.
come down
Right. Yes.
here, and it's
Oh,
basically
yes.
Yes.
like nothing, so
And-
that's
And
where-
we've addressed those.
Well, okay,
I have.
but that's why this was put here.
Right, so I struggle with tank tops in that there are appropriate tank tops where chest is covered and it's just a sleeveless. And some of our buildings are really hot. Not here as much.
I'm open to talking about that.
I just don't know how to make that slightly better, I'm sorry to bring that piece up, but I get hot. And I know I don't count in this at the moment, but of course I wanna, model appropriate. I'm just trying to figure out how might we adjust that.
Maybe we leave tank tops as what's not allowed and get rid of sleeveless shirts. Because there could be a difference, right? A tasteful sleeveless shirt,
Right.
which you're describing.
Right,
Especially on somebody in 3rd grade,
Yes.
who's wearing this pretty little sleeveless shirt. But I think if we leave tank tops in there, it covers what we're worried about. It covers those things that are made of mesh.
Yes,
that are
right. Yes,
like
understood.
basically like not wearing anything.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, well, I also believe that
We could add spaghetti straps too.
the first letter A, the second concern you have about the boys' shirts that dip down like that
right, we can take care of that.
is covered with blouses that reveal the chest, stomach, abdomen, because that would be revealed in that.
Correct.
So you could say a sleeveless shirt, and a young man who comes in with something that reveals too much, you can say, well, you're violating A. So you can allow a
I think
sleeveless
you're
shirt.
referring to sleeveless shirts like that cover your shoulder, right? Like that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that they're like wide
A
enough,
sleeveless
I
shirt
mean,
that covers
yeah.
your shoulder
Right.
would be permitted.
or more of a tank top, like there are some and some of the kids do wear them. They are like a either 2 or 3 finger type of style, they're covered, they're,
They come high in the back, they come high in the
yeah,
chest.
they're not revealing in the way that they're not showing their undergarments, so that would be but if, I'm okay with not having to fight all those battles too. And look at every little, I'm worried about that we're gonna get caught with someone comes in with kind of an appropriate tank top, but now I gotta say, no, you can't because of what we have written. Because
So you're
it's not
saying-
just a sleeveless shirt.
Yeah, so you're saying tank
top.
tops is included in A, the first A.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would be.
So just
So what if we?
take away
Sorry.
C. Because it's included in A, the first A.
Or perhaps in A, if you wanted a little bit more, crop tops, shirts and blouses and tank tops that reveal the chest, stomach, abdomen, back, or
yeah, that's a possibility.
would that be a compromise?
I like that, I was gonna
Yeah.
say crop tops, comma, tank tops.
Yep,
And
comma,
perfect.
And shirts
Yeah.
and blouses, that
Solves that problem.
Okay.
I'm on board.
And shirts and blouses, I'm gonna do the way you said, and tank tops. That reveal the chest, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna forget about sleeveless shirts, that's out of the 1940s, right? Okay. Okay.
We'll make sure the
Funny that you
eighties
say that,
trend
'cause-
is kiboshed.
Yeah, when I first read the dress code, I think one of my comments to Gary was, this is not a 1950s boarding school. And I don't wanna suppress that.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I do think there's a line where our students can express themselves and keep with the trends, but still be safe and appropriate for school. Yeah.
Can I bring up a line item?
Yes.
M, when we were talking about this 2 years ago.
What is it?
Which is
I'm sorry, M, hats, hoods, bandanas, and any head coverings that conceals the identity of the individual student.
That does what?
Conceals the identity of an individual student.
Okay,
Except for religious or medical.
yes.
Yes.
I just didn't know, I just didn't hear the last part of what you said.
Sorry about that. When we were discussing this 2 years ago, when it got postponed and we, moved, a lot of discussion was had in regards to hats and bandanas. And the discussion was that, and the feedback from admin in my building at the time was that hats and bandanas actually do not conceal the identity of the student. They actually help in identification of the students on the videos. I understand that it is customary for hats not to be worn indoors if we're going back to tradition, but I do feel it's another one of those traditions that has changed with the times. And I'm concerned that coming down on that with the students is not, the benefit of that is not worth the negative impact to the student morale.
Yeah, I'm gonna share,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that we've strongly enforced here, and we don't have it. We have maybe a few program students that have higher needs. And I have to be honest with you, I feel like that is one of the things that helped us shift the culture here. Because, and for me, when I'm looking at videos, I think if there is a concealment and I don't know who I'm looking for, yes, if somebody said that the kid with the red hat just did that, but more often than not, we're looking at groups of kids and we are better able to identify them. And I strongly feel like that's helped shift the culture in this building, because in school, we just don't do that. And it's become, it's just an act of compliance in a sense, that here we don't do that. And I feel like it's really helped our building, because I remember when I first came in, it was like, no, you can't do that, it's not gonna work here.
yeah, we
Right,
thought
like-
we were gonna be fighting the battle, and it really hasn't been that big of a deal.
And I have to be like, do they put them up sometimes? But now it's kind of funny, I walked down the mall one time and I just did this to a kid, because it's just, if you do that and they take it down, it's that symbol of, yeah, I'm respecting that, and for the most part, they do it.
You have your few that really push it, that are not an exception to the situation, but for the most part, we have those conversations with them, with their families. I do also agree, it's kind of along the pajama line, like, that is a line that we're trying to bring, dress code back to just a bit.
Sorry, go ahead. John.
As long as we're looking at M, on the left-hand column, first, second, third, fourth, protective hairstyles, I'm sure that should be protected hairstyles, because the reference afterwards is right to the Crown Act, where kids are allowed to wear their hair any way they want.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I'm gonna go back and confirm with the attorney, but we had, 2 years ago, we went back on that word, and I wanna say that it was, because I questioned it too, but I know, but we will, do you remember, we went back to Shipman and.
That's a strange abuse of the language.
I know, but we will definitely go back and make sure,
Okay,
thank
you. Yeah, no, it may be that that's what they intended, but
Well, and on that, so there is I'm trying to think of how to say. So a number of our kids will come to school wearing bonnets. And with certain students, it's the greased up hair, and that's what they do, and it's like a couple days that they're supposed to be. We ask them to take it off because we don't allow that coverings. So I don't know what needs to be clarified with the lawyer on that piece.
Is that because it says here.
Like the silk bonnets but it does, and I'm wondering if protective hairstyle, I don't know if that's,
It's
I'm hearing what you're saying, too.
It's commonly used by the African American community to protect their hair while they sleep. It's recently gained popularity with other populations, because it's just, especially if you have like hair like mine, curly and
Well,
thick.
so is that what this is, protective
Protective
hair?
it says
hairstyles,
hairstyles,
boobs,
it
head
doesn't say
wrap.
well,
protective
but the
wrap.
reason that some of that exists is because when they do braids and cornrows and locks, like at times, and my daughter's into hair and stuff, so at times it's like heavy greasy product that they're putting in it, and it honestly protects from clothing and stuff. I'm not sure if that's fully the indication there,
Do
I
they
could
spend as
fund
much time in their homework as they do on their hair?
I would like them
Yeah,
to.
When you're putting like a lot of products in your hair, it protects your clothing, like your pillow or
Right.
just.
And I'm not saying that should be allowed, I'm just saying that's a piece that I know that exists right now.
The way I'm reading that, those bonnets are allowed.
Right, that's what I was
Yeah.
actually gonna bring up, I was concerned, head
But it
wraps.
says including but not limited to, so
Right.
just in case anything changes, so I
Like
think.
wigs and head wraps is what I get concerned with.
That would be more, I would take it, head wraps, like, yes, literally, yeah.
But then if you keep reading, and
Unless you're not.
hairstyles, right, and
But-
hairstyles as individual braids, cornrows, locks, twists, bandeau knots. So the bandeau knots and you know, and it's the afro puffs, whatever, but those are, like, the bandeau knots are a little bit more, that's religious
Mhm.
or cultural.
Yeah, we wanna make sure that's all.
I just wanna say something, and again, this is just because I'm old. So, removing a hat indoors traditionally is a sign of respect,
Right.
good manners,
Right.
right? And I think that's where you, right? And I
Yeah, I'm
think
just
that's,
laughing at good manners.
I know, but,
So am I.
and I feel like, I don't know that we wanna get away from that, and it, you know, that was all, it goes all the way back to medieval times, when a knight would come in inside and take off their helmet, so that they could show that they were not there to harm anybody. So I mean, that's just,
Shelley
And
wants
I
to make it part of the culture, and it is, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
respect, making that kind of respect a part of the culture.
Which we can definitely appreciate, and
taking
certainly
your
don't wanna
hair
come
off.
backwards.
And I have to say, in the amount of times that I've asked students to remove bonnets, it was simply a fashion statement and it wasn't, if you think through it, like, and you,
Yeah,
you've
and
asked,
right.
have we ever, I don't think I've ever had a situation where they've taken it off and the hair is.
I did
gone.
have one, just one, and we figured it out,
Figured
we
it out.
figured it out.
Yeah. Because to me, if we're doing that, then we have to do hats and baseball caps,
Mhm.
because
Right,
you know,
agreed.
kids will say to us, I just had a bad haircut, and we'll be like, you know what, that happens sometimes, but we can figure this out.
I just worry about the second half of this wording, and I think that's where the lawyers comes in to clarify
Yeah.
what the protective hairstyles
I mean, a
and/or-
bonnet is definitely not a protected hairstyle or head wrap or covering of any kind for religious or cultural reasons. It's used by everybody. It's traditionally used by the African American community. But like I said, I sleep with a bonnet because of the amount of stuff I have to put in this mop of the head. But I wouldn't wear it to work.
I mean, my opinion doesn't matter, but
It does.
I would still like to have the ability to ask a child to pull their hood down, right? And not walk through the halls of school.
I think we should, I'm not advocating
I think
against
this
it at all.
remains here.
Yeah.
That's just my thing.
After hearing Shelley say, you know, what an instrumental part of the culture change at TMS the hats have been, I certainly don't want to move backwards.
And those kids are taking that from here to the building that
Right.
would do it.
I certainly am fine with leaving that in, just because I got my way with the yoga pants.
Give and take.
Just to throw this out there, this is also a monumental shift from what we were going with before, so it would be crazy to think that we're not going to sit here after the warm weather comes out in 6 months and ask all the administrators, hey, did we do well by you, or are there a couple additional tweaks we should make for the September startup of the school year? We should just put it back on the agenda for a quick review and feedback from administration. Did it work? Did it not work? And be committed to seeing it all the way through is my 2 cents on it.
Okay.
It's not going to be perfect. We're gonna try, but
Mhm.
Okay, at the risk of elongating this meeting even further, do we have anything else related to dress code? Whether it's a line item or the discipline part at the end? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
at least 2 weeks until Gary's back.
Yeah, until Gary comes back and gets mad at me.
The only thing I'm gonna bring up is the sandals, slides, we're
Where is that?
We wanna ban that.
That is
L.
It's not the one, but wearing sneakers for a gym class.
Right, it says that, it says Crocs are allowed, sneakers are worn for physical education classes, totally get that. But we do have a lot of kiddos wearing slides.
Oh, that was about safety, honestly.
Yeah, so I just wanna put that out there because that may be a battle we might
And
have to
again,
fight a little
you
bit.
know, even at the elementary level, that flip flops are not allowed,
Yep.
sandals, or the kids are not allowed to play on the playground, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's a
So we'll just
safety issue.
continue it on out.
Maybe that's on the list for 6 months from now. But I don't know, you guys deal with it every day, we really should take, your feedback is important because you're out there, so if you guys feel strongly about it, this committee, I'm not on it, but this committee should know, right? Should know what those concerns are and take it into consideration. That's why we do this.
We have a number of kids that wear it, I could almost care less either way, I get the safety factor,
But this has to work for the whole district.
I know.
Problem.
Okay,
I
So-
mean, I'm just throwing that out.
yep, that's fine.
See, it's on the tip of your tongue tonight, you're ready to say.
No, I totally understand that it needs to
Yeah.
go for and, if kids can't go out to recess with it, then we need to support it here. And I do understand what you're saying, we do have a lot of students that wear it. But it has to be a whole district
Mhm.
policy, and I understand that piece.
So what about the Crocs that have, because they do Crocs as a brand,
Right,
does make a slide, I'm just gonna say it.
Oh, Lord.
I was gonna say it too.
You were gonna say. It's kinda,
Well, they're there,
so you have to be, if you
they're like
specify
this, but
Crocs
they
as a
would be
brand,
considered a sports slide, so.
so you would just have to say it's closed, I mean, basically that you're saying closed
Closed
toe.
toe.
And you make the exceptions, closed toe, but Crocs are allowed, which says that, well, I gotta,
It's
I
like Crocs with a
Closed
strap.
clogs are
Closed-
allowed, right?
Yeah.
Closed
Clogs
heel,
are
like
allowed.
at least with a strap
Well,
on the
this
back.
is
Clog style
slides.
Crocs.
yeah, so, cause there are slide, I was thinking
This
that,
is slides.
Are
Yes.
slides sports slides, or are those like? I
Cause
used to
it's-
call them clogs, whatever, like. I'm
No, I
thinking to
think
myself,
slides refer to
To
like,
the sport with
like
the open
a
toe?
soccer slide,
Right.
right?
Yeah, like I wanna say like a flip flop that just has the.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
has a strap over the Velcro strap.
Right, because I have slides to wear for shoes, that are sports slides, that's different. It's just a weird
toe
wording, I think it's literally a wording thing. No, oh,
I think
not
that's the-
truthful, no, my sandal ones, the wedge slides, that's what I'm also thinking, so I just wanted to
That's
clarify.
not what this means.
Right.
This means like the Adidas black.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, but it says sport sandals, so I don't know if we wanna say sport slides. Or just leave it and go with it, I don't know.
Just do slides and it includes sports.
The flip flops, sports sandals and slippers, I feel like
Closed toe
covers
slides.
what we're concerned about. I don't know, to your point, I don't know that we need slides in there. Because again, even the Crocs,
Or technically a slide, unless you put them in sport mode.
right,
Put the back on them.
but really what we're concerned about are those athletic, I believe.
Right, the athletic
what-
slides, that's what I'm,
Yeah, are the
Yeah.
athletic slides,
And
the
agree.
ones that, yeah, so
So are you
I
concerned about open toe?
that's what I.
Yeah. I could go along with that, I could go along with the flip flop sandals and slippers not allowed, but like get slides out of there, because maybe it's just too, it just opens up a can of worms.
But is that a safety issue, having open toed shoes?
Yeah.
um,
Well, slides are open toes, yeah.
Right,
slides
I
could
think
be, or they
Ellen's
could be like
looking-
more the clog look. What are the ones, like the,
closed toe Crocs,
Give me the
maybe the
word
way
right
to
now.
say it.
Yeah, closed toe Crocs,
are
yeah.
allowed,
Yeah.
then you avoid the brand.
Yeah.
Cause you say Croc, if I were the student, I would argue this. I'm just thinking, what would I argue? And I would argue that it's a Croc, cause a Croc is a brand.
and really the first half of that
So
footwear that
Croc,
mars the
right.
floors or poses a safety hazard, so we can go,
Closed
You know.
toe Crocs are allowed, would be your,
Are we
Wait.
leaving slide in here, or we taking?
I think we should take out slide. And I think the sports sandal, like we're saying, sports sandals, slippers and the flip flops. Yes,
Okay.
I'm sad about the
I-
flip
I-
flops.
So any
But I get
open
it.
toe, is that what you're
Basically
saying,
saying
anything open
it needs
toe
to be, it can't be open
is
toe.
not allowed?
It's not open code.
So,
But are you trying to say that anything open-toed is not allowed?
And slippers.
And
Slippers is staying there.
Yes,
That's a
But
absolutely.
if you take
It's a non-negotiable.
slides out, you can't say open toe stuff because slides are open toe.
Could be.
But those are sports sandals.
We're calling
So
them
we're
sports
saying no.
sandals.
We're saying no to those, right?
We said no to sports sandals,
Right.
but you're right, that's the same thing, isn't it? Isn't the sports sandal the same
So-
thing as the slide?
That's why I say it's almost like
Yeah.
it's in there twice, so if you get rid of slides, sports sandal is more open, and basically what you're against are
Okay, I see what
toe
you're
shells.
saying.
So can you say footwear that mars the floors or poses a safety hazard, including flip-flops, open-toed shoes?
You could, if you're arguing for open toe shoes, just go open toe shoes, but that's a you guys thing.
Yeah,
I'm concerned with getting as strict as open-toed shoes. I feel like at our level, plenty of our young ladies come in with sandals that have a thick sole, that have a strap, but a portion of their toes might be showing.
mhm.
And I think that,
Yeah, like an espadrille or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of a cutout.
yeah,
I'm just trying to
and we
figure
have a
out
number of teachers
what you
who
want.
Yeah.
wear
Not,
fashion
I think we were good at the
sandals
sports
with
sandals.
their
I mean, I would go with whatever
dresses and
teachers
stuff
are
like that. I
Yeah,
steer
absolutely,
putting
yes.
open-toed in there, I think it's too broad.
now what about, not the sports sandals, but the shoes that don't have a back? They have you just slide them on?
That's a slide.
But it's not, but it's closed-toed.
That's a clog.
It's like a clog or slide, and that's a lingo thing. So I think if we take outside and do what we said, the sports sandal, what was the other one, slipper? And
Flip-flop.
right, the
And-
flip-flop.
and To Ellen's concern, sorry.
If it's a safety hazard, we'll deal with the first
To
half of
Ellen's
the.
concern, I think that those types of shoes that you're speaking of don't pose the same safety hazard as the sports sandal because the foot is more protected and more nestled into the foot and they're not likely to go flying off the way the Adidas soccer slides are likely to do.
'Cause I can't walk in those.
And that's why I think that's why I think
either,
taking
Ellen.
slides out is okay. I think it serves.
I can run in flip-flops, I can't walk in.
the
All right,
message.
I took slides out. I wanna go back and just clarify Crocs. Are we leaving it Crocs are allowed, or are we changing it to closed-toed Crocs?
I think we have to stay
I
closed
think we
toe.
have
Can
to
you
say closed toe.
closed
because
toe,
there's so many
Croc-
versions of the
How about
Croc brand.
Croc-like,
Yeah,
because you can get the fake
generic ones, yeah.
Crocs, do you know what I mean? So you're doing a
people know.
brand.
I think that, like,
I think we can.
It's
talk
becoming,
about it.
like the
Yeah.
lawyers were saying, it's becoming a ubiquitous term for that
Yeah,
style.
it
It's like
is.
Kleenex.
Okay.
it's just like
Yeah,
generic,
yeah.
you know?
Kleenex, good
Exactly.
example.
Yeah. Or Band-Aid,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
Even
True, true.
yes.
Yeah.
But never Diet Coke. There's only one. Just saying.
Thank you.
We agree on one more thing.
Yeah, there's no generic for Diet Coke. All right, does anybody have anything else? Like really, this is like speaking off our knowledge base.
John, you have anything else before we, on the dress code?
Close comments in the dress code?
No, I
That'll
am
be fun.
quite done with that, thank you.
Just for the record, I think this was well thought out and I'm trying to figure out, like, so I feel like we collaborated very well as a team on this dress policy. Some people got what they wanted, and some, we have the admins here to help us get through some of the wording and what really should be allowed and what shouldn't be, which I'm thankful for because they're the ones that have to enforce it. But this is kind of like a marriage. We all kind of work together on it.
Well, and honestly, I think it's better than anything we've ever had.
That's good. As long as it's enforceable and realistic.
Well, we'll see.
Put her on for August.
At the moment, it feels enforceable. We'll see what actually happens.
Right.
Well, and that's why
Yeah.
policies are, so you can, and it doesn't
Adjust
handcuff
if we need
the
to.
administrators or teachers, but it's,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm glad we had
Clear
everybody
and
working together on
responsible.
this and brainstorming and.
When does this go into effect?
Well, it goes, if you move it to the full board meeting in April, Marissa will move it right away, right, after, because
So May
May
1st.
first.
Kim just did the little research while we were sitting here on the word protective versus protected, and it is protective.
Really?
Interesting.
We all stand corrected.
I know, it sounds weird.
We don't agree, but.
Just a quick question, because we're making a couple of adjustments,
It's
do
what it
we vote to send this to the full board tonight, or do we have to wait?
No, you vote
Okay.
to move to the full board.
Okay.
So you have to entertain a motion. to
Okay,
do that.
so do I have a motion to send policy number 5040, student dress code, to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
So move to the full board with the changes, right?
With, I'm sorry, yes, with the amendments, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you administrators for
Yeah, absolutely.
helping us
Yeah,
straighten out the.
and
wording.
teacher feedback too, you know, I mean, I think that's important, because,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
yeah, this is a different time. And I think we have to be mindful of that too, so. Topics for future meetings, Jeff wants to see this come up again in August to see how it's,
Or whenever.
or,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe August might be too soon, right? I mean, it might want
Or
to wait
whenever you
until-
guys think, you look at it and go, this is working, I mean, this is really, you're short, you're warm weather, you're gonna go through, whether it's next winter, whatever, we just wanna make sure we feel supported, like, this is not set in stone, if it needs to be fixed, right, it just needs to get back on the agenda.
All right, so a
Fixed.
dress code policy review at some point within the next few months, maybe once. I would recommend we wait until the 7th and 8th grade are up onto their new campus
Yeah.
and, you know, because that's gonna solve a multitude of sins, just
A multitude of things.
Just move people, it solves all.
So what used to happen was if the administrators or if the teachers had an issue with the dress code, they go to the administrators would send it to the chair of policy. And then if it needs to come back to be discussed, it can be at that point. So if it's working, it's working.
Right, no news is good news, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
And did we still have to look at the staff dress code, and that was brought up at the same time?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Donna wants to bring forward the non-lapsing reserve account, right?
Yes, non-lapsing reserve fund policy.
That should cover.
That's a meeting, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And will we do those at the next?
And staff dress code. Okay, so we can put that on for May.
Moving on to comments for the good of the order. Ms. Creedon?
Great meeting.
Yeah, ditto. Thanks for the input and all working together.
Great collaboration.
Thanks for allowing a voice to those who aren't even on the committee.
Yeah, thank you to all of you who have that valuable input that we just wouldn't have, we're not there every day.
Do you have anything?
Just to thank the administrators and others for their input, which, helped guide us through the process.
You ran a good meeting tonight, thank you.
Well, thank you, John, appreciate that. I got about 2 hours notice.
Thank you, good meeting.
Thank you, and everyone.
Good meeting.
Josh, you good down there? Gotta love Josh. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned at 7:30.